Hi, I'm Bill Bronchick, and I'd like to discuss with you the 5 key factors when buying, fixing, and flipping a property. The first key factor is you make your money when you buy, not when you sell the property. You cash the check when you sell, you realize the profit, but you make your profit by buying it right. That means adding enough in there for repairs, for potential mistakes or unanticipated mess-ups, for unexpected expenses, and just a fudge factor in there. Make sure you have enough padding or cushion in there. Don't do your numbers anticipating a perfect scenario, because rarely do deals go perfectly. So make sure that you buy it cheap enough that you can finance it, that you can get into it with as little money as possible, and that you can get out of it with a reasonable profit, even if it doesn't sell for what you think, and even if the repairs cost more than you think. Number 2 key factor is make sure you get an inspection, a proper professional inspection by a qualified inspector. Now, just because someone says they're an inspector doesn't mean they're qualified to do the proper inspection on a house that you are buying. Some people just take a 1 or 2 week course and they become an inspector, no big deal. And licensing is pretty lax in most states to become an inspector. Find out what the inspector's background is. Are they a contractor? Are they an engineer? Can they give you a quote on the things that are wrong with the property? So, for example, if they tell you, well, you've got a problem with the foundation, well, what is the fix and what's going to cost me? So you don't have to go out and hire a separate engineer, for example. So, you may have some experience in flipping houses, and you may be tempted to just look at it yourself and say, hey, this looks fine in my opinion, but really the professional advice that you will get from a good inspector is well worth a couple of $100 that it'll cost you to get the property professionally inspected. So make sure you have it inspected, and you can use that inspection report as a leverage tool to negotiate a better discount on the property if you discover some things wrong with the property. Number 3, do not do the work yourself. I know that you may have talent, you may have experience, you may get some sort of particular zen from swinging a hammer or changing a toilet, but it's a mistake. Because number 1, you're just an overpaid contractor then. You're just buying yourself a job as a contractor. And number 2, what if you get sick? What if you get busy? What if life throws you a curveball and you're unable to do the work? Then it's just going to put you off schedule. So make sure you pad in there enough money to hire a professional crew to go in and do the work. You may supervise it a little bit, but make sure that you hire people. Do not do the physical labor yourself. Number 4, place the property for sale in a competitive environment. That means on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst and 5 being the best, you want your property to be the best bargain for the money. That doesn't mean the cheapest, and that doesn't mean you fix it up the nicest. It just has to be the best bargain for the money compared to what's for sale when your property is for sale. This is why I recommend not just looking at comps, properties that have sold, but properties that are for sale. The first thing you do when you buy the property is survey all the properties for sale in the neighborhood, what features and benefits that they have, and competitively fix your property and price it accordingly. It really doesn't matter what it's sold for in the past in terms of comps and other properties have sold for competitively. What's more important is what's competing with you when you go to resell the property, and your property is priced such that it is the best bargain for the money compared to the other properties for sale. And number 5, don't be cheap. Use a good real estate agent or broker to list your property. Now, there's 2 types of real estate agents and brokers. There's the ones that list properties, and there's the ones that sell properties. They represent the buyer. The buyer's agent is typically going to split the commission with the listing agent. So, for example, if the listing agent quotes you 6%, they're going to give 3% or half that commission to the agent that brought the buyer to the table. Now, the agent that brings the buyer to the table, in my opinion, is worth much more because they're bringing the deal together. The listing agent's job is to, number 1, make sure your property is properly priced. Number 2, the listing is accurate. And number 3, maybe do some marketing, open houses, and so forth. If they're not going to give you full service, then don't pay for full service. Meaning don't pay a 6% commission, pay a 4.5% or 5% commission, of which 1 to 1.5% goes to the listing agent, and 3% or so will go to the buyer's or selling agent. You may even consider listing the house with a flat fee agency where you pay $300 to $500 just to put it on the MLS, and then you represent yourself. If you're not experienced, I would recommend using a listing agent or listing broker the first couple of times, but don't pay full service if you're not getting full service. And most importantly, if the listing agent wants full 6% and they sell it without a buyer's agent, then you shouldn't pay full 6%. You should only pay, maybe in that scenario, 3 to 5%. So negotiate something in your contract for that. This is Bill Bronchick. I hope you've enjoyed these 5 tips for getting houses fixed, flipped, and sold quickly for maximum profit.